Hey everybody, good evening. This is Container Chick, live from the ground, doing what I do. I'm on the road, of course. I hope everybody's well. Let's talk. Now, so, there's a woman, one of the security officers in the office building I work in, and her name's Pam. And Pam is Pam. How about that? She's a nice sister, and she's always there, you know. But this is not about Pam. This is about what Pam said today. So Pam said she met some lawyer who happened to be working out of one of the offices in this building. There's a law firm that's run by an African brother for his own firm here, and it's very diverse, mid-sized. Not mid-sized, maybe small. They do various types of law. But in any event, I've met the managing partner, and he seems like a pretty decent person. I don't know what type of, you know, his legal skills, what they are, or, you know, his outcomes, but he's very personable. How about that? Anyway, at his firm, there was a lawyer there who was working there for a short time, and maybe just remotely or something. I'm not sure what the complete story was, because I have not met him, but she did, and he asked for her number, and she gave it to him. And so they had been corresponding by phone. A little bit younger than her, but they had been corresponding by phone, and he called her on a Saturday one day. And what he did was, what he said was, like a Saturday afternoon, and, you know, they greeted each other, what have you, and she said she was out and about running some errands, and she said she noticed that he sounded like he was indisposed. So I said, what? So she said, yeah, she said he sounded like he was either in the bathroom or in the bed, or like indisposed, you know, in some sort of mode that you could hear, you know, how he was speaking. So, you know, I'm guilty of doing this one thing with a friend of mine. Side note, when I'm on the phone with her, I'm washing pots or something. I'm doing something. So she's like, stop washing pots. It's annoying. It's loud. I was like, you know what? I didn't realize that. And she hates when I do it. She's like, what are you doing? I'm making some tea, but I'm washing a pot. You know, she's like, you're in the damn pots. So you should have the cleanest pots on the planet. I said, I don't. The bottoms are burnt, but that's not the point. So sometimes the background noise can be distracting to someone who's on the other line, especially with these cell phones. So Pam said she's talking to this man, and the man, she said to him, I'm sorry, but he says, you're out of breath. She says, yes, I'm on my way. I'm traveling, you know, to take care of some errands. You know, I'm out and about. So he said, oh, she said, well, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. So she said, oh, it sounds like you're laying in bed. So he said, I am. She said, oh, did you call me from bed? He's like, yeah, I did. She's like, okay, do you want to try me back when you're in a better state? He's like, no, we can talk from here, and, you know, just so that you know, I am in bed. So she said, well, what does that mean? I started laughing when she said that, because she said, he's like, it only means that that's where I'm at right now. She said it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and she had a problem with somebody still being in their bed on a Saturday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But when you call a woman from your bed at 1 in the afternoon, are you implying something based on what he said? She's like, are you implying something? Because a woman cannot call you in the afternoon who you're just getting to know and say, and laid up in her bed, and you know she's up in bed. It's kind of like an invitation to be there as well, right? So I was like, yeah, that's a little dicey. And he said, what? Yeah, I am in bed. I just want to let you know. And she's like, I don't give a flying mother flinkety flat fluck. And I was laughing because it never dawned on me, you know, that it sounds like an invitation. Now we could all get to, and he was like, no, but just, you know, just a matter of fact. She's like, a matter of fact, I was laughing, and she's loud, right? Pam's Pam, that's what I meant by that. But she had a right to be offended. And she said, I don't know what's going on with these African brothers, okay? But they have a lot of issue with them. I said, you know what? They're men, right? That's what I said first. Second, I said, yeah, they do have some other odd kind of ways that, you know, we as Black American women, we don't do that, right? So I told her about this man that I met who was trying his best to love bomb me. I ate her, okay? He was wasting all his energy. You can believe that. So what he had done was, a friend of mine said, hey, let's go. I have a gift certificate to a spa that I purchased for my daughter and her friend, but they never made it. So the owner, I called the owner and he said, hey, I'll still honor it. And so she said, hey, you want to go? I said, hell yeah, I want to go for a full body massage and a facial. So I said, hell to the yeah. So she says, we'll split an Uber because we don't want to be driving after getting all tenderized. I was like, you know it, you better know it. So she said, okay. So we were making the arrangements. So anywho, I had gone to the gym the day before, and it's like, oh, I'll go to the gym with you, said man. So it's like, all right, cool, whatever. So I said, you belong to that particular gym? He says, no. I was like, oh, okay. So we go, I said, you can come, fine. It's okay to bring a guest, you know, no big deal. So we go to the gym, and we're on the treadmill, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not this treadmill chick that's always on the treadmill at incline of 7 at 6. No, 6 speed, no. I am 2.5 on 2.5, and I do it for 15 minutes. Now, I don't do like burning, you know, that kind of thing. I do time because usually I try to go in the mornings, and I got things I do. So I'm 15 minutes on the treadmill, and then I may get in the pool for 15 minutes, do some running laps, and then I get out and I will get in the sauna for 15 minutes, dry sauna, and then it's going to take me 15 minutes. That's a whole hour for me to get on home, to go to work, wherever I'm doing, right? So anywho, I said yes. So he's on the treadmill next to me, and he's running his daggone mouth, but I had no problem. He almost bust his behind like 8 times. I'm like, are you okay? He was fooling with stuff. I was like, listen, you don't have to do the treadmill with me, but you know, we're still here, you know, I'm okay with that. But and you can watch TV there on the treadmill, or you can listen to your music, whatever. I have no problem with that. I have no problem talking, but I think safety was bothering me because he almost tripped up a couple of times. I'm kind of like, you know, okay, stop knowing everything and running your mouth. Now this comes from a person who talks a lot, and I meet strangers all the time because I'm always talking to strangers, randoms, as my daughter says. One of my daughters says, Mom, you're always talking to randoms. Tell us not to talk strangers, talk to randoms. It's like, yeah, I met some interesting people, and I keep saying that in my videos that I haven't yet posted. But anywho, so after we got off the treadmill, I was like, you know what? I don't want to skip a beat on the regimen I've started. So, you know, I do pool. You know, so he said he swims a little. I'm like, fine. If the pool doesn't go any higher than 4.6, so that's okay. And I do a running back and forth because it's easier to run in the pool, right? Old lady knees, whatever. And once I got dressed, I was kind of pissed because I didn't have my skirt, like my one-piece bathing suit. I'm by myself, it's different. But if you're at a pool for the first time with someone you just met, you want to cover up some of your stuff. So I didn't have the skirt to go over it, but it was what it was. If you think of a bathing suit as sex, then that's your bad. With that being said, I said, okay, cool, right? So we do get in the water, and then I get out, and the hot tub was there. I usually don't use their hot tub because that's another video about why I bought my own. But I got in for a few minutes, and I got out, it was too hot, and he was in it, and he said, another guy was there too. So he said, oh my God, I love this, I love this. I said, listen, take your time. I'm gonna go and get dressed, but you take your time, and I will meet you in the lobby because I'm not rushing to do anything anymore for anyone, right? So I get to, I go in the locker room and I shower, and I hate doing stuff on the fly because I forget my stuff. So I showered off, I steamed for 2 seconds, and I literally like a minute, I showered off because my pores were open, and I went back in there to dry off because I'm going out into the cold, and my hair was wet. I'm wearing braids right now. So I went, I dried off, I took my time getting dressed, and my phone's ringing, and I'm like, who is calling me? Now I know something. that most of us parents of young people know. Your children do not call you unless it is an absolute emergency. I'm talking amputation. And God forbid those parents whose kids call them from jail. They don't call you. They will text the living hell out of you, but they will not call you for nothing. So I know that it was not either of my daughters calling me for not a damn thing, okay? So I don't kill myself to get to the phone in my pocketbook, because I know that all the people that are priority to me are not calling me. They're not. Now my sister may call me, and I'll tell her too. One of them, like, listen, chick, I will call you. You want me over? You want me over? Thank you. I will call you when I get home. And then when she starts her double back to back, I don't answer her either. Okay, so what had happened was, it was him. He's sitting in the lobby and he's calling me. When I went to the phone, I didn't say a word. I didn't answer that. So I'm walking just as slow as molasses, because I am not in a rush. And he's sitting in the lobby. And he says, I woke up. He says, I was calling you. I said, why? He said, because I didn't want to keep you waiting. I said, I told you to take your time. Because we were going to go, I told him in the pool, I said, listen, the odd thing about me leaving this pool, I always crave beer on tap, no lie. So we can get a beer. I said, okay. You see that? And I was like, all right, cool. So, and I'm not in a rush. So I said, well, take your time in the hot tub, because I'm not in a rush. But he got out of the pool first and was out in the lobby first. And then you start calling me. So I didn't answer, because I didn't know who it was, neither did it bother. He's the one who mentioned, I called you. And I was like, I don't know why, because, okay. So I'm not going to repeat myself. But it's like, no, I don't want to keep a woman waiting. I said, you weren't keeping me waiting. I was keeping you waiting, right? And so, and he wasn't waiting long, because I don't take long to get dressed, because Ashy Annie didn't have none of her stuff with her, so it doesn't matter. It wasn't lotioning up, and it wasn't putting on no special outfit or the whole 9 yards. I had nothing with me, so my stuff. So, which I normally don't bring unless I'm going to work from the gym. And so I'm like, no, it's okay. Oh, no, I didn't know if you had gone to the car, if you had whatever, and I didn't see your car outside. And I said to you, do not rush, because I'll meet you in the lobby. I said, there's something you should know about me. I usually keep my word. I try, and if I cannot, I will call you. So there was no need to call me back to back, and I don't like it. He's like, okay. So we go to like an Applebee's, or was that a Friday? It's one or the other. I always get them mixed up. They're probably the same restaurant. And I ordered a beer on tap, Blue Moon. And the young man's name was Calvin, who was our server. It was cute. It was cool. And then so we're sitting there, and we got what we ordered. He ordered exactly what I ordered, and he it got time to leave, and he was calling Calvin over, and Calvin said, listen, I can help you or any of the other people, but he was at the bar by himself, and this guy's taking care of all kinds of people. He was really good. And so he's calling and screaming him out across the whole restaurant, and I was like, you know what, you might want to bring this down, because he's on his way. Come over. He says fine, so I gave him his card, whatever. And then he said, I'll be right back with the card, whatever. And then he comes back with the card, and he pays for it, whatever. And then he wants to give him the receipt and the pen back, whatever. And he starts calling this guy again, and he's calling. And it's like a lot of people. He was like, I'm gonna get to you. Just calm down. And then he's like, no, I've been calling you XYZ. He says, no, I'm coming. Don't worry, I'm coming. So I'm just looking at him, because he appears to come across to me in the 1 week that I've known him as very impatient, right? I don't see anything, but I'm taking notes. And so I didn't see anything. And the guy comes, gets the thing, no problem. And then he always come down the street and think somebody's parked in front of my house, on the side of it anyway. And so I'm like, okay. So I yeah, this whole thing is my driveways. So I say to him, listen, you're a tad impatient for me. You know, you need to bring it down. He's like, no, my friends always say it. We had this conversation about some other stuff, blah, blah, blah. So he left, got in my car, he left, got in his car, he left. I left. So my friend calls me, texts me, and says, hey, I got an idea. Do you want to go to the spa? I was like, hell yeah. So we went, took an Uber there, and I had spoken to him that morning, the next morning, it was Sunday. And then I said, you know what, I gotta go because my friend's getting ready, I gotta get ready to go to the spa. I said, all right, fine. So I'll talk with you, later on. Get a chance to call you, whatever. He's like, fine. So we go to the spa. We got to the spa probably at 3:30, and we were there until 9 o'clock. Like, it's a whole day thing, whatever, and getting all tenderized. And so we called her Uber to pick us up, and they were like 25 minutes or something. I'm just like, oh gosh, we were up in the middle of nowhere. And then was able to get a lift. And so I looked at my phone. This Negroid had called me 5 times. I was like, okay. I didn't say anything. I didn't call back. I got home. I got settled. I called my friend because we live in different cities. And I was like, okay, girlfriend, I made it home. I'm at the home base. Door is locked. Everything's copacetic. And thank you so much. Love you. Mwah. And she's texting me, okay, great. No, we were talking. I told her really quickly. And I knew she's home with her family. So, because she and I could talk forever. And so I sat down. And he works a weird schedule. So he says. And I looked at the text also. And I texted him, I said, listen, I'm not in the business of repeating myself. I told you that when I get back to you, I will get back to you. You do not continuously call me. My movements are not your business, okay? One call is sufficient. And I'm going in a different direction, be well. So, I didn't say anything. And then he works a weird schedule. So this morning he texts me and says, ha, was that text to me? I thought it was very funny that you would tell someone that. So I responded, that text was to you, okay? That text was to you. And because I told you, I'm not in the business of repeating myself. I told you this before, this back-to-back call and this back-to-back texting. Will I be able to hear your beautiful voice go to bed? You don't need to talk to me 5 times a day. I just met you a week ago, okay? You are not love bombing me because I'm not her, okay? And I don't know if it's an age difference or if it's a thing where, you got no damn manners. How about that? And I'm already in this Zen mode still since I left Central America. I haven't even gotten out of that yet. And once I got tenderized yesterday at the spa, a girlfriend looking like she's been on vacation for 2 more weeks, so my skin is all glowish. And so you not about to blow my high, okay? You not about to blow my high, my vacation high, my spa high. I've been having an excellent 2 weeks, and here you come, okay? So back to Pam. So I told Pam this story as we were exchanging stories. She said, I don't know. She said, I don't know what's up with these mother effers from the motherland, okay? They're going to stop with the Bolsheviks. And she's loud, and I was crying, and there's the echoing in the lobby was like, I was like, be quiet. She was like, shh, nothing. She said, I don't know what's up with these mothers from the motherland. And I started laughing because I was thinking that too. And he was telling me how Black American women are blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no, a lot of y'all brothers come here. And when you live in areas are not the best areas, because where he live is kind of gangish, right? And he has he's an attorney in his country, because I checked him out, right? And you move in these certain areas here, right? And studying something, whatever. Long story, but. And you meet up with these street girls. We are not street girls, okay? If a woman's walking and it's night or whatever, and you meet her, chances are she didn't have transportation or money for transportation, because Dana walks nowhere. Do you understand? Janice walks nowhere. You understand? Container chick does not walk anywhere. I am a grown 4 times 5, 21 times 3 grown woman. I am not walking these main streets in the daytime. And I do understand sisters that do walk. I have a neighbor, and she walks, she's out here at 6:30, she walks to the bus stop, and she's home by 4:30, she walks home. She has sons, and her sons take her for her errands, but she said the only reason she doesn't drive is because she's afraid to. And my other neighbor next door, she has sons with cars and a daughter-in-law with cars. She doesn't drive either. Even the baby girl has a Barbie car, she drives, but this lady does not drive, and her sister comes, takes her, and she said she is afraid. My Aunt Juanita has never driven. She said she's afraid. There are people that are afraid to drive. Respect. But as a woman, you better go pull that little change purse out your bosom like my grandma used to have. You right in my driveway. You right on the edge. You better be visiting somebody in this house over here, because you right on the edge of my driveway. So, you know, my grandma used to have this little change purse, the little buttons on the end, and she'd have that thing in her bosom, and she always had some money rolled up in there, you know, and I know she had a sock tied on that bra too, but grandma always said a change purse. Women be having some change, okay? So, you know, we hold, good women, we hold on to some change, so you better go up in that change purse, okay? In the honeycomb hideout. And call you a cab or Uber or something, you get you a ride somewhere. Miss Willie used to, oh my God, I'm gonna start crying because she's a part of history. Miss Willie lived next door to us. Her and her sisters were from Texas, and they cussed up worse than a sailor. They taught the sailors how to cuss. And she was my grandma's good friends, best friend. She had two, her and Miss Evelyn. Miss Evelyn lived on the right, on the left, and one skipped one house, and Miss Willie lived on the right. And oh gosh, when I was a kid, I wish I knew that this was history in the making. I would have been a little bit different about it, but who knew? And they used to sit there and they would talk. And Willie used to drive. She had a husband that was like double her age at one point, but he took good care of her and had a house and everything. And he wound up dying before, of course. He was much older, but she used to be driving Crown Victorias, and she had the the big wig. You know, the big wig. Like in the 70s, they wore them big wigs, and her wigs was dip-dap, and she had clothes and furs and stuff. And they played cards, so she had stuff, but she always had the big wig, right? And she used to drive the big car, or the Lincoln Continental with the little window in the back, right? So she always drove, and at one point she stopped driving. And when she stopped driving, she'd walk. She'd walk to the supermarket. She saw you, she'll send you, hey, how you doing? Go in the store and get me a Pepsi or I'm gonna shop, blah, 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 blah. Everybody knew Miss Willie. But if you had to go to some places, Willie could hitch her a ride because everybody knew her. I remember my Aunt Kyle died, and I saw Miss Willie at the house, right? And then she said, I got to go down here to so-and-so and so. And she would see my grandma. My grandmother was not alive when my aunt died, but she used to come to the house and be like, Sugar babe. Just call my grandmother Sugar. Sugar babe, the gossip is, whatever the gossip was, right? Let me swing into this driveway and stop playing, right? And so she's like, Sugar babe. And so with that being said, Miss Willie, everybody knew Miss Willie. So if you see Miss Willie, she asked you for a ride to Journal Square or downtown Newark, whatever. So you going downtown Newark? Well, I'm going parts the way, Miss Willie. You know what? Just give me a ride up there to the train station. I can make the rest of the way. When she gets to the train station, she saw somebody else. Just give me a ride down to the Symphony Hall, because so-and-so just dropped me off here at the train station. If she see you at Symphony Hall, she was going to Central Avenue, just drop me over to somebody she was seeing. No. And she used to walk. And I think that kept her alive as long as it did in her 80s, right? And so she was walking in. But I remember her at the house, and then she had on regular clothes. And by the time I got to the cemetery, Miss Willie was there with a shiny hat on the prop, right? And I said, how the heck she get here before? I said that to Calvin. Calvin was like, I don't know. Miss Willie don't play. I said, she probably hitched a ride with whoever was on their way. Whatever choo-choo was choo-chooing, Miss Willie was ordered. Somebody gave her a ride. So anyhow, she used to walk. But that was the times you could walk in the late 80s, early 90s, maybe mid 90s. Nowadays, they will kick, you'll get shot. I don't care what neighborhood you in, right? My cousin had a boyfriend named Tony, and Tony was so good with the kids. My kids don't remember nothing. My older daughter remembers Tony. Mr. Tony, my Uncle Tony, but he wasn't a weirdo or anything, but he was the one that always was fixing the bikes and fixing the car, the bike seats, and the kids teaching him how to ride and this and that. And he loved my cousin. He loved her, and she loved him, and her kids loved him. He was a good dude, and he was walking one day. He has issues. He's walking one day, and he had these kids were doing a knockout game, and they knocked him out, and he hit his head on the cement, and he died. Actually, no, he went to a nursing home, and then he died. And I don't know if they ever found those kids, but that's terrible. And so Tony used to walk also, okay? And you could walk, but you stopped. My other aunt, she stopped walking after that kind of happened. Her husband takes her where he needed to go. She needs to go, but you know, there's a time a lady could walk to the corner store and get an onion, right? Or she could walk to extra supermarket that's not far from where they live and get, maybe she needs some macaroni, some elbows. I don't know. Now you can't walk nowhere. My neighbor, Miss Solomon, she's in her 80s. I haven't seen her. I saw her this year, but I haven't seen her in the cold. And she also drives. Miss Solomon, one year, I was, oh my gosh, so it has to be before Calvin was gone, but Miss Solomon was walking past. I was cleaning up outside here, and she said that she was telling me she's walking slow, and she says, yeah, you know, some guy snatched my purse. So I was going to Central Avenue to buy some curtains. Central Avenue was probably to the left if you're looking straight ahead at this gray car. I was going to Central Avenue to buy some curtains for my kitchen, and I only had $40 and my ID and my paperwork in my wallet, and some boy, he snatched my purse. I was like, oh my God. She's like, yeah. She says, it was in the morning. She said, it was in the morning, and I always walk, and Miss Solomon always does walk. And she said, he snatched my purse, and he, and this is what happened to me. I started chasing him, and he ran with this, you know, the fence wasn't there, but he ran, and she chased him through the fence, and there's a guy that lives in this house over here, drunk, was just sitting there. And then he snatched it out of her arm, and she showed me the bruise from under her arm over to her hip. I almost started crying. It was purple. And I was like, what mother did this, right? And then she said, and the man over there, he didn't say anything. And I said, why didn't you put your foot out? Put your foot out. You could have tripped him. He's like, I mind my business. I was like, he didn't say a word. He's like, no, didn't even help up off the ground. And I was so mad at him because I know me, you know, and my empathetic nature. I might have been like chasing after him too. You snatched a lady's pocketbook? Like, how much does an old lady have in her purse? Now, in my mind, and I'm not digressing, it's probably some nigga that just got out of jail. Because how much the lady had? $40. She said, I don't care about the $40. She said, I need my paperwork. It's hard to get paid. You have to have paperwork to get your paperwork, you know. So I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I remember telling Calvin that, and he was like, wow, can't walk nowhere. This lady always walking. You see her, she's always walking. I think that keeps her alive, right? So, side note, we don't walk nowhere, okay? Now, this came up because I'm talking about African brothers and sisters that are walking, and a lot of times they meet these street girls, and he told me the story about the street girl, and it happened more than once where, you know, they want to have sex with you, and then they ask you for money, or they say they need something for this and that. I said, well, I'm not her. And Pam's not her either. Pam does not drive because Pam does not have a car. But Pam got her errands, was running her errands. And this is when this dude tried to talk to her like she's some street girl. I said, they always get it mixed up. And they want to make a judgment about how Black American women are. And we make judgments about them, which I told him. I said, we make judgments about you guys because you're always scamming. If you say Nigeria, you're like, scam. Right? And they're always married with children, and now they're divorced, but they came here to study. Why does a lawyer in his late 40s, going on 50, divorce his wife, or they get divorced, and she's back home with the 3 children, raising them by herself, and you're over here discovering yourself? Like, what's up with that? And now you breathing down my face with the love bombing, okay? No, you're a liar. Okay, and Pam said it too. You calling her from bed. You mean you couldn't get up out of bed to talk to me, and you want to let me know, oh yeah, I am in bed, just so that you know. And she's like, what's up with the mother from the motherland, right? So I was like, yeah, she said, I think that was real inappropriate. And so I was like, yeah, you're right. I said, so what are you gonna do when he comes back to the lobby and you see him going to work? She said, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm gonna greet him like I greet everyone else. But I am not the one. I said, you know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. We're not walking street girls. That's what all this walking background comes from, letting you know that the women used to be able to walk. And even when you're walking, you have people howling at you from a car. I am 21 times 3 damn near. And I still have these youngsters blowing the horn, and I'm not even inappropriately dressed. And I look at the condition of the populace of the young women, they think all this bootylicious is okay. All that's going to turn into fat. You need to keep yourself covered, okay? I had a man one time, a couple years back, I was going to my office building where I used to work, and I parked my car in the garage, and I would come down the stairs and walk around the building to get some steps in. I'm walking and I'm strolling, taking my time, and this guy hollers at me from his car, and I ignore him because I don't know anyone who knows me that knows that that's a thing. Even if you know me and you blow that horn, you better be one of my brothers and you better say my name. They know where I work, so I do that. So he said, hey, Miss Lady. I didn't say a word. Then he's like, oh, I know you hear me talking to you. I still didn't say a word. You ain't all that any mother way. I still didn't say a word. You are also the passenger in the person's car talking all this yin yang, right? If that's what they say these days, I don't know. I still didn't say anything. And then he proceeds to cuss me out. Now, I'm a married woman with children at this time, and I'm not, my kids aren't older, whatever age they were, but I have my own standards. You're not hollering at me from some car. And it made me think, what do I look like that he thought he would have a chance? But then I had to erase that thought that it was something that I did. Because a lot of times we think it's something we did or some way we presented that has a person to do what they do to you or attempt to. The truth is, that's who they are. Anyone will say anything to you. You think, oh, was I dressed too? My clothing were too tight? Was I walking a certain way? Did I blah, 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 blah. And if you walk with esteem, there's always those people that will challenge you too, those men that will say something, oh, look how you walk and you think you all that. I don't say a word because that is what you think, right? And you are beneath me, okay? I am a woman. I'm an upstanding woman. I do not answer to cat calls from a car. And I'm down in a business district, and there are other people around. So when I got to the office building's doors, I walked in, and there's a brother that worked on our floor, but he wasn't with our company. Tall Muslim brother. I know he's a Bahraini Muslim. And he's like, are you okay? And I was like, yes, I am. He said, I can't believe that this is 20, whatever it is. I was like, yeah, it is. And he said, you handled that rather, graciously. I said, because that's who I am. I said, he was trying to solicit some interaction, but I was not giving it up. He says, you did it right. You stay in your ladiness. I said, that's exactly true. He said, but here's the thing. We're in these times where someone will get offended by that and try to harm you. And this was where we arrived now, where these young men are literally killing the girls because they're like, they don't go for their advances. But you're touching on someone. Like, there was a young woman in Jersey City, in New Jersey, who went into a liquor store with a child. I don't know what she was getting, but the point is, the guy touched her, and she's like, don't touch me, And then, she didn't want to talk with him. And then he shoots her in the face and kills her in front of her babes. And then people were like, oh, she shouldn't be liquor store with the kids. Listen, she can go in liquor store if she wants to. She might have been buying diapers. Some liquor stores sell diapers. They sell liquor too, But you just killed this girl in front of her babies or at all because she did not want you? Well, right now, you try to kill Bobo because that's who you're with right now, okay? And that poor girl is 30-something years old and had 3 small kids. She should be able to walk in a store and say, no, thank you, sir. I'm not interested. You don't put your hands on nobody. And some men are good for that. Oh, hey, Miss Lady. And I'm like, did you just touch me? I did not give you permission to touch me. Now, that has happened to me when I was a little bit younger. But I don't play that. All right? And I told my daughters, you don't let nobody touch you. A man touch you only when you give him permission to do so. Okay? Miss Lady, I don't care. When we were growing up, too, the problem with growing up in a complex or something, or a project or something, everybody kind of knows everybody, so people are real familiar, but still, okay, they think that's a one-up. And I had a problem with someone years ago, single, and I had gone to see my mom. A mosquito bit me. And there was a guy that I dated back in the day, high school, knowing no business, no better. He had a car, And so I saw him, and I was going home to East Orange, where I lived at the time. And he was like, hey, hadn't seen you. Oh, you look good. I said, I think cool, whatever. Where you going? Need a lift? So it's like, oh, I'm going to the train station. You know, just take train north, whatever. So I'll give you a lift. Didn't think a thing about it. I was like, okay, dummy, you get your butt in the car. Just forgetting for a minute. This is a man, you haven't seen him in years, okay? You used to date him kind of when he was in high school, but that's not the point. My families know each other, whatever. And so I get in the car. He goes past the Journal Square turn. I'm like, well, I'm going to the PATH train. You know, you could drop me from Journal Square because I'm going to take that to Newark. And the stop after Journal Square is Harrison and then Newark. But if you take me to Grove Street, then Grove Street's got to take me back to Journal Square. Then, you know, he's like, oh, no, I'll take you to Grove Street, blah, 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 blah. So and so. I'm like, okay. So we're halfway to Grove Street. He stops underneath the New Jersey Turnpike and he turns the car off. Now, underneath there, you used to be able to stop, right? And sit there and talk or whatever. And I'm like, what's up? He's like, no, you know, I still always liked you and this and that. I was like, listen, I've moved on and I really just would like to go to the train station. I don't want to sit here and talk. And I was like, so, you know, let's just go to the train station, drop me off. He's like, no. So I try to get out and he click-clocked, the doors were locked. I'm like, what? He got these things rigged? Like, what's up, right? So now I'm getting mad. And the car was all dark, like there was no inner lights or whatever. His geechee behind. I'm like, okay. So you're a little bit more street savvy when you're walking or you don't have your own transportation. I mean, I was going to take a cab to the train station, but I was waiting for the cab, didn't show. So, anywho, I'm like, all right. So listen, I need to get out of this car. I'm not interested in you, okay? Please unlock these doors. Nah, see, we got stuff we need to be talking about. I took off that shoe I had with that little kitten heel. I said, look, I don't know what you're up to, but if you think you're gonna rape me, you better be good. And it better be big, because I'm gonna tell everybody. And after I'm done, I'm gonna take this shoe and I'm gonna break up all your shit in this car, including you. And I'm gonna tell my brothers what you did. He's like, nah. I said, no, open this door. So he opens the locks. I get out. Now I'm mad. I'm mad at me for not thinking, right? I start walking to Grove Street. Now, the distance between where we were on Montgomery Street in Jersey City and Grove Street, I had to make a decision. Do I go to Grove Street or do I go to Journal Square, which is backwards? The shortcut to Journal Square was Corneliuson Avenue. The problem with that is that if you go, now it's like a police station's over there, but if you go around that loop, that's Prostitutes Row. I was not walking down Prostitutes Row for nothing. It wasn't late, but it was late enough and dark enough that I was like, it wasn't a good idea. Plus, that's the time where somebody you know will see you cutting through here and thinking that you on a stroll. And I was like, okay, so I went to Grove Street, which was a longer walk, which was also a brighter walk, and you tend to take shortcuts when you can. Now I'm mad because I shouldn't be here. I don't see a cab. You know, Jersey City is not like Brooklyn or Queens or Manhattan where cabs are just random. I caught one. I don't know about now, right? At that time it was. And there weren't any Uber. Uber was not around. So I'm mad to death, okay? I'm mad at me. So when I get to Grove Street, I finally get there huffing and puffing. Got on the train. I sat there. I held my head. I said, you know what? You got to get a car. And you got to do, you know, trying to budgeting and try to get things back in order. I just moved to the city, East Orange, and I was like, you know what? I can't do this. I'm a woman. I can't be walking. And you can't trust people you grew up with. Because the same guy you trust you grew up with might rape you. And how many girls have been raped with people that they grew up with that they thought were cool? So I told my brothers stomped a mud hole in him when they saw him. He moved out of New Jersey and never came back. Okay, they stomped a mud hole in him and it messed up one of his eyesight. His eyesight was already bad, but that's what they did. But that's what you get, okay? Now, I'm not telling any names because I don't want to indict nobody in something they did in whatever. I hadn't met Calvin Side Beat before 1990. So, but I remembered that, and I took that to my daughters. I'm like, listen, don't think because you went to school with Jaquan at St. Joe's that he's cool now. Jaquan might try to rape you. And the truth is, a lot of women have gotten raped, and I'm going to call it rape because if she didn't consent and she was somewhere she had no business being, she probably went along with it. And instead of, you know, letting it be revealed that you were stupid to take a ride from Jaquan, say, and you thought y'all was cool because y'all grew up in the same street, went to the same school. There's a lot of gray areas, you know? And unfortunately, I heard this story from a male who is very effeminate, and he was raped by someone we grew up with too. Like they, I was like, whoa, it never dawned on me. And I felt bad because, he is a man, and, it was very effeminate, and this person supposedly is straight, but you raped him. Okay, and is he gonna tell? And that was before he really came out. Is he gonna tell that you raped him? Daryl Wilson, that you raped him? Okay, because is he gonna fight you? This guy, Daryl Wilson, yeah, I said his name, from Jersey City, I said his name again. He spent most of his life in jail. Believe it or not, he just got out a couple of years ago. I was surprised he didn't grow into the jail walls. That's how long he'd been in jail, since he was a kid. And back in the day, it never dawned on me until we got older and some other information that I got, that Daryl Wilson never chased the girls. Daryl Wilson's all the boys were scared of him, and it wasn't because he was like a bully. He was raping them, okay? And who are you gonna tell? And so I look back, my information, he's passed on, but he told me, he's like, yeah, he said, we saw him raping this guy, and we were like running, because it's like, okay, you raping this guy, but you're not gonna rape us, we're gonna run, and we're not gonna tell. I was like, y'all saw him raping somebody? Yeah, me and some other dude. So I was like, wow. He's like, yeah, but that's why the guys were scared of him. Not because he could fight, but because he was a rapist. I said, you know what? Never dawned on me. He never tried to talk to any of the girls. He never tried to talk to any of us, because you were into boys. Maybe he didn't know, but he was tough. So he was raping the boys. And I was like, oh, And so it was one guy, I don't know if he's passed on, but his name was Earl. I'm going to tell you his street name because people know who he is, but I'm not in that crowd anyway. But Jay, they call him, some words start with J. Jay, he was after Jay. And Jay, there was something happened, and they were like, oh my God, Jay fled to Philly. And I was like, okay. And he's like, no, because he stabbed Daryl Wilson in the kidney. I was like, oh. I said, he tried to bully him because all the guys were scared. He was like, yeah, he did it. He said he was so scared. I mean, no, let me back up. He went to Philly, and he stayed, had family in Philly. And then Daryl had gone to jail for something. I don't know what. Like raw way, like the big house. The big house is a big house. And so, in New Jersey. And so, for like ever. And so, even if he did a 25-year stint for something, if he was 25, he got out of his 50 when he finished. Okay, so recently they told me, Daryl Wilson got out of jail. I said, really? They let him out? The jail? Did he know what it was? Because he had been in jail so long since we were teenagers, right? So Jay, I saw Jay later. Jay came back to New Jersey where his mom is, or was. I'm not sure if she's here with us. I hope so. And I was like, hey, I said, I thought you moved to Philly. He's like, yeah, I did. He said, but I came back because the threat is not there. I was like, wow. I heard some rumors. He's like, no. He said, you know what? I heard he was after me. I was so scared that when I saw him, I stabbed him first. I was like, oh my God. He said, then I stabbed him and I had to leave. He never told me about the other thing, or if he's attempted, but these guys were scared of him, not because he was going to beat them up, but because he was going to rape them. So it was happening with guys too. Somebody you think you're cool with the dudes from back in the day, and they're raping the girls. Brings me back to walking and transportation. Those are some of the stories that I knew, and I remember telling hubby, I was like, nah, we got girls. When they get old enough to drive, we don't want them walking these mean streets. And these streets are meaner than they ever were when we were kids, because there's more information to tell you the streets are mean. But back to now the brothers from the motherland. We didn't have a lot of brothers from the motherland here. We didn't have a lot of people, quote unquote, foreigners, a lot. Only Spanish people was maybe a Puerto Rican, where I lived and grew up. Now we've got people from around the world who have migrated here or broken themselves into this country for whatever reason. And there's different types of people. A lot of times they have their preconceived notion of who black people are, or black women in particular. And then the ones on TV gives them an idea that that's who we're not all that way, okay? We're not one big glob of a people. And I get tired of it, and I know other people get tired of it too, thinking that all black people are the same. Oh, you speak well. What are you trying to imply? That as a black person, you're expecting me to go ghetto, or to know hip hop, or whatever? And so you know, a lot of the African brothers come here, they wind up with the street girls, and then they say that we're all mean, we're all this, we're all that. No, you have your own preconceived notion based on white supremacy as well, about who we are, or supremacy. My woman I know, she's Indian, and she's like, I got so beat up in school and bullied because I'm a brown person. I was like, oh. She's like, yeah. It's like, so imagine, you understand how it is to be a black person. Black, you know, more melanated than you. And she's like, yeah, because us blacks and browns have to stick together. I was like, oh, okay. You know, like, she knows. Everyone knows. In every country, everywhere. They know, right? So the African brothers come, and a lot of them are educated in England or whatever, and they have the same notions. And these guys, the one that I knew, and I said knew, and the one that she knew, because both of y'all past tense, okay, have been talking to street girls, where you think that it's okay to call her from your bed and let her know you're in bed. Like, what was you going to ask her to come to your house? Well, I know Pam, and Pam was about to, you too short to, okay? And me, this love bombing and back to back to back, and oh, I wasn't sure where you were. My movements are not your business, okay? And I said it. Whoa. Oh, that's kind of straightforward. Yes, this has nothing to do with meekness. This is called directness, because you apparently had to be told. And I am in this place and space now, right, where it's one and done. I will not build a bear. I built a bear. Me and that bear built ourselves together. But at this stage in my life, I'm going to tell you once, and you had better take notes, because if you don't, you will be gone. You understand? I should not be building a man. Once this man says, oh, I'm sorry, I can accept that, right? Because we're clear. But if you keep doing that same offense, no, you're trying to groom me, okay, to be okay with the Bolsheviks. I am not her. I told him to be well. He turns around and he texts me again. Oh, well, you think other than the listenings or anything? I was like, listen, I ain't answering you, because I told you be well. That means goodbye and later. So when she said what she said today, this started out with Pam. That's what we're talking about. I was looking at her, and this other lady was coming through, and she's looking like, you know, I think she's being unreasonable. I give people a chance. Listen, she's not. She has her own standards. She was walking to the bus stop and handling the handle, whatever she was doing, handling her business, and you calling me from bed and letting me know. She said first she heard it, and she's like, oh my gosh, are you in bed? Like, he called her, and he's like, yeah. In case you're interested, yeah, I'm still in bed. Like, what are you doing? She's like, you're still in bed? Why are you calling me if you're still in bed? You need to call me back. You can call me back, because I'm really out and about handling my handle. And he's like, oh, no. Now that you know that I'm in bed. She was like, mother, lover, XYZ, ABC. I started laughing. I know she didn't hold her breath. I know she didn't, because I know who she is, right? But she's right. So all these brothers from the motherland with your rhetoric and your Bolsheviks, we are not them, right? Like, we're not. So I'm going to, who is this? You better be visiting the tenants, because I don't know your car. Listen, I need to hang up, because they are in my spot, and they're going to have to MOVE. I will talk to you later. Peace and hair grease, and live from the ground later.